Jimmy Butler is a dog. And I said on one of these shows, we need more dogs.
We don't need no meows. We don't need no cats. We need more dogs.
This guy is that. And Andrew Wiggins has been a lot of things for the Warriors, but a reliable, put the ball in his hands with 10 seconds left, 30 seconds left, have him make a play to win you the game. That was never really a part of his package, or at least one that we were showcased often. And a lot of times it led to Steph hero ball down the stretch because there was not enough help. We've been asking for more Steph Curry help. Jimmy gives you an edge there. 26, 6, and 6 is what Butler averaged in the 2023 playoffs on 40 minutes per. He carried the Heat to the NBA Finals. He had 56 and 42 in back-to-back wins over the Bucks that season. He had 43 times in the 2022 playoff run and averaged 27 throughout that postseason. Playoff Jimmy, big game Jimmy, it is real. But the Warriors right now, in their situation, at least this year, need everyday Jimmy as soon as he steps on the court. Age is obviously a factor in this, and everything we've talked about that Butler did, that's in the past, right? Numbers-wise this season, he hasn't been great. Let's attribute that to the fact that he didn't care. He wanted to get out of Miami. That does matter. From time to time, Butler still has it in him. 35, 19, and 10. 35 points, 19 rebounds, and 10 assists. That was a stat line from Jimmy Butler in a win over Detroit this season. With that being said, for anyone out there that has said the Warriors need to make a gamble, they need to make a swing, this thing has gotten too stale, let's go all in for Curry. You got your wish here because this was the move to do that. It's a gamble that playoff Jimmy Buckets is not past time. He's not washed away on the shores of South Beach, and that a few more golden years can be capitalized when it matters most. But it feels like the Warriors still may need more. And they're not going to be getting it through a deadline deal. It does not sound like. This is from Chris Haynes. Said the Golden State Warriors are done with trades, sources say, but look for them to be aggressive in the buyout market. Ben Simmons? Ben Simmons to the Warriors? But what the Warriors needed, they may have gotten. They needed someone who could get a bucket down the stretch, who could play point with the second unit, guard the best wing on the other team, run the offense with 10 seconds left while Curry runs around like crazy off screens trying to get open. He can change momentum with a clutch block or a steal. He plays hard, and his strongest fans swear Jimmy Butler is not washed. Draymond Green, however, is a name that gets brought up as a potential issue, and I think we all know why. He's had his issues with other players in the past, and now together you get opposite players, one that facilitates and undeniably affects the game to the non-box score watchers that know the intricacies of the game. Those are the people that respect Draymond Green's game the most and how he changes a basketball contest. The other, you see it with your eyes every single play with the ball in his hands, how he can just take over, will a team to victory, which he's done time and time again. But both hotheads, man. Kevon Looney's not worried. And he's the vet that I trust. Like if we're playing a Warriors edition of Squid Games and we play that mingle game, you know what I'm talking about, where it spins and everyone's got to run to the door, I'm finding Kevon to lead me to safety. I don't care what the number is. 7, where's Kevon? I'm finding him. Actually, you know what would happen? We'd be the guys in the room after they pick 2, and Draymond would come in. He'd be player 1. He'd say, "Get out." But no, I'd go with Kevon. I value his words. The youngest seasoned vet in basketball history. It is so hard to believe sometimes that Kevon Looney is 28. A lot of it has to do with the way that he plays, also the way that he carries himself, just wise beyond his years. Anyways, I'm rambling. Looney had several conversations with Wiggins about Butler. Wiggins, obviously a teammate of Butler's in Minnesota, and swears by him, which I always thought was fascinating because and we heard from Iguodala a while back that the case, but the narrative for the longest time was that those two couldn't stand each other, right? But swears by him. Wiggins swears by Jimmy Butler. Quote, "We've had a lot of different personalities, a lot of different guys, and it usually works From the guys I've talked to, the guys that played with him, Wiggs says he's a great guy. From a player's perspective, I've heard he's great. All the other stuff, the contract negotiations, you know how that goes. Team spins a narrative, media spins a narrative, player spins a narrative. I don't want to get into all that. I know he's a winner. If he cares about winning, he can fit in easy here. Okay. Let's revisit that history real quick of Jimmy Butler and Andrew Wiggins. Let's not forget that wrinkle. It was 2018. It was an infamous practice, I guess, tirade, if you want to call it, where he led the third stringers to a scrimmage beatdown of Minnesota's starters. And during that scrimmage, Butler was throwing around expletives and said, "Hey, they soft." He's throwing insults left and right in the direction of Andrew Wiggins and Karl Anthony Towns. That ended up leading to an exit interview with Rachel Nichols, where Butler ended up calling Wiggins the most God gifted player on Minnesota's roster, before adding that Jimmy himself played the hardest. And the implication was that Wiggins didn't play hard enough. But Andre Iguodala actually said that Butler told him he had great things to say about Wiggins. So we already heard that Wiggins had great things to say about Butler. Andre said back in 21 that Wiggins had great things to say. Almost like the situation was just a fiery dude and a laid back guy, just not clicking real time on the floor with the way that they do business. Iggy also said in that interview, that piece, whatever it was, that Jimmy don't like anyone, doesn't like anyone. How about Draymond Green? Will he like them? That's an important wrinkle of all this. Now, Green he got along with personalities like Boogie Cousins, Chris Paul, David West, some large personalities. Those guys are not Jimmy Butler. The guy's insane. And I say it in the most respectable use of the word. Like, I respect a person that is borderline insane on the basketball floor, to say the least. 2014, he was training in the offseason and he didn't have internet or cable. While Kendrick Perkins was watching Breaking Bad season 4 all summer, Jimmy Butler was in a wall squat that entire summer. This dude is built a little bit different than he has that engine that turns on when he needs to, that step on your throat killer mentality, that tell it like it is type personality. Does that team need this? Do they need another one of this? An offensive, attacking, scoring version of what Draymond is to a certain extent. That's special when he turns it on most. When it matters most, that's when he usually turns it on. But I was reading a report from a Philadelphia 76ers reporter for a local Philly paper, something like that. Respect to whoever wrote it. It's a podcast. I'm not going to look it up. Anyways, he had but I was reading a Sixers reporter's article. But I was reading an article surrounding the Philadelphia 76ers about the weird lone season that Jimmy Butler had in Philly. And he had a great series, did Butler, to round out the season against the Raptors. We all know how that season went, but almost took the Raptors down. And because of that, I think a lot of the, I guess, lasting impressions were the exact opposite from Miami Jimmy Butler, right? Where Miami Jimmy Butler in the middle, it was a thing of beauty. By the end, it was nasty. It was like the other way around for, because he played that one season and then he was out before there was a chance for things to really go awry. But there were some weird moments that season, according to this Philly reporter. He aggressively challenged Brett Brown in a film session just 6 weeks into the tenure. Also said that he bizarrely stopped shooting threes for a large chunk of the season. He had 13 made three-pointers in his last 23 regular season games. Didn't feel like he was an engine of the half-court offense. There were tons of nights where he would just sleepwalk his way into 18 points on transition, ball cuts, foul grifting, despite never really making an effort to attack and pick and roll and in isolations. And there were just some mind-boggling plays where Jimmy Butler wouldn't even look at the rim, is what Philly fans describe it as. There was a game in New Orleans where they kept switching awful defenders onto him. and he just wouldn't even look at the rim. But it does say he always tended to show up in the fourth quarter of close games. And there was a lot of nights where you asked yourself, what the hell is going on with Jimmy? Criticized Brett Brown's play calling in front of the media after a game in Chicago. And on the TV broadcast was caught criticizing the offense. Jimmy criticized Brett Brown's play calling in front of the media after a game in Chicago, was caught on the TV broadcast saying that don't work after the Sixers failed to get a stop in the waning moments of a game against the Bulls. Uh, you got to put fires out with Jimmy Butler time to time. How's he going to mesh with Steve Kerr? That is a big question. You have to accept Jimmy Butler for who he is. He is not changing. But my favorite line of this article was basically just explaining who Jimmy Butler is in a nutshell. Warriors fans, this is what you have to look forward to. This was Phillies. You know, don't take it from Miami fans who obviously have seen the worst of Jimmy Butler this season. Take it from the fans that kind of had an indifferent, short experience with Jimmy Butler. He said that's part of the deal with Jimmy. He does all this annoying stuff, but he also is a joy to watch. Hell, he tried to fight his head coach during a game where they were the number one seed in the East in 2022. They came inches from making the NBA Finals a couple months later. It's just part of the Jimmy experience. A little different than the Buddy experience. While I'm fully aware that we spent most of our time scratching our Philly 76ers fans' heads and wondering what the heck was wrong, I'd be thrilled to have him back in a Sixers uniform. He is Jimmy frickin' Butler. Great article. So how will he fit with the guy that has punches, that throws headlocks out there, and that kicks? Kevon Looney said, guys like that who are dogs, who are alpha males, they respect other people like that. They kind of stay out of each other's way. So it's going to be fascinating to watch. No doubt about that. Draymond Green's response on the trade, he win, I win. That's the fit. Winners win, Green said. He's a winner, perennial all-star, tough as nails. Just effing gets the job done however it needs to get done. It's going to be an exciting experiment, to say the least.